me what you see when you look at me. Do you see another brother lost in these streets looking for his soul?
Trying to find my soul.
Or do you see another brother searching for lost souls in these streets? A street soldier.
Street soldier.
Here to help you get that chip off your shoulder, warm your colder days and sober your drunken ways, and find a way to help you get over these hurdles placed in our path. And this is not meant to amuse you. This is for all those who have questions but are afraid to ask.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid. No. When times get hard, you lose your way. Open your mind and hear what I say.
This is a message for the hard and the soft. To those who tune in weekly and to those who keep an eye out for 8 p.m. on Sundays and turn their radios off. The truth hurts. The cloth has been pulled. We're walking around half dead. Use this show as your IV. Alive and Free is a new movement. We've achieved self-destruction. A street soldier promotes self-improvement.
Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah. Streets couldn't be no colder, so I gotta be a soldier. It shouldn't be this hard for me. Even when it seems so hopeless, I gotta keep my focus. I'm glad to be alive and free, yeah.
All right. That little clip introduces to some of the work going on in Las Vegas, and we're going to hear more about that this evening. Alive and Free in Las Vegas, and we're welcoming to Free Soldiers on Zoom, David Hollis. David, wave your hand in the air like you really care. Okay, so everybody knows who you are.
Good evening.
Good evening, Carlos Pollard. Carlos, where you at? There you are. I got you, brother. There you are. Okay. Stefan should be with us. I think he's here somewhere. He's not, but then I got to hit him up. He said he's going to join in because he's the one that actually guided us to David in the first place. Officer Dante Batiste. Dante, you here? Officer Batiste?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I see you. All right. Okay. Officer Adrian Hunt and Johnathan Smith. All right. Thanks. Thank you very much. This is something we want to do. We talked about doing a little while ago, but Black History Month. This is Black History. Best time to do it. And David, I think that clip shows pretty much the work that you and the colleagues have been doing. Why don't you just jump right in and talk a little bit about your organization, when it was founded, how you've been doing it. And I know there's a gentleman who is a big part of this that we're going to sort of dedicate this whole thing to, because I know he was right with you from the jump. So talk a little bit about the organization, THUGLIFE, what it means, and go right in, brother. Good to see you again, man.
Yeah, thank you, Doc, and I appreciate everybody and welcome. I'm glad to be here on Alive and Free. Dr. Marshall, one of my heroes. I had to tell everybody that, so I want them to know. Well, this thing was founded a long time ago when I read your book a little over 30 years ago when I was just a counselor. And then I became a juvenile parole officer. I grew up in the streets of Gardena, Compton, went to Gardena High, and I grew up in them streets and never thought I'd be a PO. On the way, I became a pro football player, had the opportunity to play in the NFL. And once I found out my true life's working with young people, because I come from that troubled background. As a PO, I just saw that our young people were losing. They were going to the institutions at an all-time rate, and they wasn't giving no help when they were coming home. They was coming back to the same environment with no structure. They had no men in their life that actually care about them. And, again, they were using bad information, bad people, bad environment. And as a PO, I just stepped out. I started with bald head, and now I got these long dreadlocks when I became a PO. And it was at that time when all the brothers were wearing dreadlocks, and they didn't even understand what it really meant. And so as time went on, in about 2012, Montone, White, and myself tried to come up with a program to give to our young people that were coming from the institution and had no life, no dreams, no belief, coming back to a downtrodden kind of environment. And we said, let's do something. And so we created a program, and my chief allowed me at the time to put something together. And we was trying to come up with a catchy name. And at the time, Thug Life was big, but it was different. It was the hate you give, little infants, everything. And I said, that's still catchy, but we got to come with an acronym. And we were able to come up with true heroes under God, live in freedom evermore. The other piece was manhood restored. However, we have changed that now to Alive and Free after we were trained in the modality of what Alive and Free was about, because I tried to model the program after just reading the book, not getting no training from you, but just understanding life. And how we came up with Thug Life as well was we realized that all the great men in the Bible were troubled. And he said, but what God did, he just cleaned them up, used the same gift, but he used it for righteousness' sake, and they were in freedom, and God got the glory. And so we were teaching the young people, use the gift that you have, but you got to take the information. You got to be willing to try something different, to step out your environment, step out your circle, and see what's different out there, and be willing to listen to some men that came from that environment. And that's how we're able to create this this Thug Life thing. And then over the years, we just kept plugging away. And then I lost a son to the streets in 2017. My oldest son was killed in Los Angeles. But instead of giving up, I kept driving and pushing forward. I knew what God had put in me, and I kept driving and driving. I come from a family of men, wealthy men, and that's mentally. And I come from that environment, and I just wanted to do something different and try to step out the box and not give up, because it's easy to give up. And along the way, Carlos.
Who are the original guys in it with you when you put the organization together?
It was Montone and myself put it together, and Carlos is a frat brother who were there, your young frat brothers, and Carlos came to the office, and we wanted him to be a part because of his enthusiasm and his willingness to want to just give back to the people in the community, especially our babies. And so it was Carlos, myself, and Montone White. And we have another guy who's not here, but he's a Hispanic brother, but focuses on Black History Month. I wanted to focus on that. And then along the way, after retirement, 5 years ago for me, I met the young brothers, the young officers that came to us as well. And we were able to they have a program called Dream, and we were to merge the Thug Life and the Dream program. So it's Thug Life or Dream featuring the Thug Life, and that's how we all came together.
Well, I hear about them, but I got to ask you, I knew where you grew up. I know the story, and I know your previous, can we say, lifestyle. How did you go from there to being a probation officer? Is it something when you were in, is this, how did that happen? And why did you pick that particular, I became a teacher. I'm just wondering why you picked that and how that.
I think you're like this, Doc. I always wanted to be a school teacher. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be a school teacher. And if I didn't make the NFL or after my career, just go back to Gardena and coach at Gardena High School. But I come from an environment of substance abuse, my mom and my dad. And I came back to Vegas in '92, and I started working with children in a group home. Yeah. And I had a female probation officer. She said, "You'll be a great PO." And I was like, "No, I'm from the streets. We don't do no police thing. We don't do no CIA thing. We don't do none of that." But she said, "David, you would be wonderful as a PO." And it kind of chose me. That's how I look at it. It chose me.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Carlos, you joined. And how did you run in the Thug Life, David, and the work that we're doing, and what led you there? Tell us about it.
So I was running a mental health and behavioral health company. So we do individual therapy, family therapy, group therapy. And I had a contract with juvenile probation and parole. So I used to hear a lot of information from a couple of my frat brothers and people in the community about David Hollis and this Thug Life program. So I started taking a couple of my kids there, and I was just drawn to Mr. Hollis and his passion for kids. And he was just different from the ordinary PO. He actually cared about the kids. He cared about their well-being. And I learned a lot from him going to his class, not only with just the kids, but I learned a lot as a man. And I was just drawn to his enthusiasm, and he did a lot for the community. And I just want to be a part of the program. So I started taking my kids to the classes, built a relationship with Mr. Hollis, and Mr. Montone was one of our frat brothers, still is one of our frat brothers, but unfortunately he's not here. But we just developed a relationship. We all had a common ground as far as helping the kids, and we understood the kids. So we came from that particular background, from the streets. You want to just play a part in changing kids' lives. And that would draw me to the THUGLIFE program. And then Mr. Montone came back and started telling us about the Alive and Free. And as you know, David and I went to San Diego with you and Stefan, and and it was just amazing to me. And like I tell the guys, I've been to a lot of conferences, and that was the most amazing conference I've been to. So it was very good information, and a lot of information that you gave to us. It was very unique, and we could utilize that in regards to applying for grants, and a lot of contracts. They want evidence-based, some type of criteria that we can justify. And this was perfect because it was simplistic, and a lot of kids can relate, and a lot of adults can relate too. Yeah. So I really appreciate you guys in regards to work you do, and most definitely look forward to working with you guys.
But before we go into how Stefan met you, because I never really did hear that story, and how he got you, to hear about, Alive and Free and get you to the training. Let's introduce everybody else. We got a couple of officers here, and before I find out your roles, Officer, I'll go first. I'll go to Officer Batiste and Officer Hunt, and then Johnathan, I'll find out more about you in a minute. You can talk about how you met them, but I really like to find out, what's Vegas like? I think I got an idea what it's like, but all they show on TV is shows and gambling, and what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. But I've heard a lot. I've heard enough to know, but I don't think people understand, the issues that young people are facing in Vegas, and when it comes to violence and gangs and so on and so forth. So, Officer Batiste and Officer Hunt, if you want to just enlighten folks, and if Johnathan, if you want to do that too, talk about that side of Vegas.
Officer Hunt, I'll let you take this one since you are born and raised out here.
You're muted.
I'm mute, bro.
I got right there. Y'all hear me now? I'm good.
There you go. Nice to meet you, sir. Go right ahead. Talk about what Vegas.
How you guys doing? Well, you know what? It's a little different, man. Being born and raised here. It's funny, when I was growing up, I didn't really like Vegas because I come from humble beginnings. Grew up on the west side of Las Vegas. A lot of gang violence, gang culture. But when I got older, and I through different organizations, traveling, and I said, you know what, there ain't no place like Vegas. So it's a little weird. But the crazy thing about Vegas is it can eat you up. If you're not focused, if you're not disciplined, of course, being here for women, of course, human sex trafficking is very huge here. Wow. And I would say probably 60%, 70% of the women that I know usually it's the strip club, and then the rites of passage after that is, prostitution. So, wow. I mean, I have own family members, like first cousins that's in the streets, man. So it's very, very tough. Again, me becoming a police officer was very unique as well. I was actually in the youth group that Phi Beta Sigma mentored, the Sigma Beta Club. I'm also now a proud member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. And I grew up, so they kind of like opened my eyes to a lot of things, and being in that culture. When I would join the youth group, I said, damn, it's professional Black men. There's, attorneys, officers, you know what I mean? Just professional men. So that kind of opened my eyes. And then that's kind of started my passion, with youth. Again, as soon as I went to college, as soon as I became a brother of Phi Beta Sigma, I began to reach back and mentor as well. So that kind of catapulted me in my lifestyle as far as giving back and serving with the youth. And I love it. It's probably, I know that's for sure one of the things that I love to do. I think that's one of my callings as well. But again, I see now with the youth in Vegas, I would say the social media is really getting our kids, because again, all of them, they're searching for validation. You know, they're trying to be, you know, they're trying to be better than the next. Everything is a flex. Everything is a show, you know, what I got. And a lot of these kids who don't have it, or if they can't show it, of course, they want instant gratification. So now they're trying to get it. So they're going to rob you. They're going to, you know, they're going to burglarize. They're going to do what they got to do. So I think, again, us men giving back, reaching out to youth, and definitely, you know, pouring into them, you know, that's the best thing we can do. And I tell people, a lot of adults, you know, I'm a firm believer in what they'll see is what they'll be. And if kids, what they see is what they'll be. And if you're not reaching out as an adult and reaching back to youth and pouring into them, then, you know, we got a problem, you know. So again, that's a little bit where I'm from, my perspective of the Vegas life.
Officer Batiste, what gangs are there specifically in Vegas? Is the LA gangs the ones I'm familiar with, or, you know, and you know, I always curse LA for starting all this stuff and spreading this infection everywhere, but go ahead, Officer Batiste.
Well, the ironic thing is I'm from LA, so I got to see, you know, coming out here and coming to Vegas and becoming a police officer, you know, I got to kind of see some similarities in between growing up in Inglewood and coming out here and seeing how the different kids and how everybody interacts. I mean, out here in Vegas, I would say it's a lot more hybrid gangs. So it's a lot more cross breeds in regards to different sets hanging out with each other and doing things together. Obviously, you know, LA is big into the Bloods and Crips and Hispanic gangs and things of that sort. So yeah, Vegas is a little different in that setting, I would say, in regards to the gangs and stuff like that. Even me, like I said, I've been here since 2014, but I came to finish school at UNLV. But being as an officer starting in 2017, I've been picking up on some of the gangs and things of that sort as well. But yeah, it's still a learning process for me as far as getting to know all the gangs and everything like that in Vegas. But definitely a lot of cross reads compared to, you know, lifestyle in LA that I'm used to.
What led you to become an officer? I'm asking you both because, you know, policing is like, you talk to the average brother, I don't be no cop, I ain't gonna be no cop.
And you know, the funny thing,
I said, why don't you be a cop? I said, what profession needs good people? Police, but I ain't gonna be one. You know, so right. What led you?
Not, you know, it's funny that you say that, because growing up for me, I grew up in Inglewood, and that was my mindset as well. You know, I didn't never want to become a cop. It never was something that I ever thought about. I honestly wanted to become a sports agent. That was my biggest thing. You know, I wanted to make sure I took care of athletes' money and took care of their families and stuff like that, and got them educated and stuff like that. That was my dream. But you know, what happened for me growing up was I had a good friend of mine who happened to be sent to prison, I want to say a week after I graduated from high school. And I knew him prior to that. I knew him since the 7th grade. I knew he was a good kid. What happened to him was more so he ended up tearing his ACL sophomore year of high school. And that kind of shattered his NFL dreams. Then I saw him kind of go down that, you know, downward spiral and trajectory in regards to joining gangs and doing robins and stuff like that. And, you know, it was, for me, it was heartbreaking because I had a pretty close, tight-knit group of friends. And he was the only one that happened to not make it out as far as, you know, going out and doing something positive in the world. So for me, I wanted to do something that would honor him. I did have a couple of officers that were around me growing up that were African-American, and they were positive mentors for me. Now, they never pushed me to become an officer, but they always looked out for my best interest, making sure I was in the right places, making sure I wasn't doing certain things. So when I finished my degree at UNLV 2016, you know, I was kind of at a crossroads in life. I didn't really know which path I wanted to go in. I knew I wanted to go to law school and kind of continue the whole thing with the sports agent thing. But I knew law school was going to be a lot of money as well. So I had a couple of friends that just joined LAPD, and they were like, hey, you know what? You should think about joining, or come back home to LA and, you know, try to positively impact our community. And I was like, you know what? Since I'm already here in Vegas, let me just check out and see what Vegas is about. So even before that, I talked to my father, and my dad was he served his time in the Air Force for 20 years, and his biggest thing was, hey, if you want to be change, if you want to affect the change within these local departments, you have to be a part of that change.
Absolutely.
It's one of those things where you have to join the department and actually, show and be the change that you want to see. So, with that being said, I went ahead and applied, and it was just one of those things where, hey, I'm gonna see where this goes, and I got on, and it's been one of the biggest blessings that I could say in my life. Starting off on patrol and actually being able to reach out and talk to people one-on-one, because you're on the front lines. So, I got to give them a different perspective and what they got to see on the news and stuff like that. And again, it's been a blessing every step of the way, being able to reach out to the kids and stuff now. And that was pretty much my story. Like I said, I didn't, it's kind of like with life. You have your plan, and then next thing you know, life has other plans, and the Lord has other plans for you.
God takes you where you should be.
That's right. Exactly. So, I'm blessed to be here, and I'm blessed to be able to make an impact and positively affect the youth in this inner city.
Well, thank both of you for being good officers. They know I spent 14 years on the police commission here, overseeing the San Francisco. Know a whole lot about what goes on. That I know, other people don't know, but so good officers make a huge difference. And even when you're in the crosshairs, you're representing what police should be, makes a big difference. So thank both of you. And before I go to you, Johnathan, because I got to find out about you, because they just gave me a name. They didn't tell you how you fit in, so you got to tell how that goes. What's interesting here is several of us are here from LA. And, I'm here in Gardena, I'm here in Inglewood, I'm like, Lord. I grew up on 62nd and Denker, right? 108th and Washington, 108th and Western. They tore down my house to build Crenshaw High School.
Right up the street.
Everybody knows exactly what that is, right? And so but it's taken us different places to do the wonderful work that all of you were doing. Johnathan, they gave me your name, and they didn't tell me why. They didn't tell me who. Maybe I didn't know if you was a groupie, a cheerleader, or whatever. But tell us how you fit into this picture. Hit the mute button and come on in.
You the youngest. You should know how to do this.
Hey,
how you guys doing?
All good.
Johnathan.
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me. I fit into this whole role. I first met Hot Dog with my friend probably about like 15 years ago. Not even 15. I'm not that old. About 10 years ago.
Johnathan,
Yes,
Johnathan, tell them who Hot Dog is.
David Hollis is
That's my name.
He's a PO that helped me out a lot through when I was going through it. He showed me the way, gave me some male advice, some male point of view that I needed growing up. I didn't have that. I didn't have a father figure or anybody else who was a positive role model in my life. So he showed me. Gave with the program he had. It kind of showed me a lot, taught me a lot of things that I was missing out. So
I want to hear more of that. Thank you. That's why you're here. I asked him for somebody, and he got him. Let's get into the work. And Stefan, you were the ones that introduced, Alive and Free, introduced to THUGLIFE, to David and Montone. And I just got to say, before we go on, what a wonderful brother. Just a great guy, Montone, no longer with us, but an inspiration, just an inspiration. And like I said, we're going to dedicate this whole show to him and all the work that continues to be, because you're living out his dream also. But Stefan, how did you meet them?
First, good evening, Alive and Free family. So it all started actually in San Francisco with Millicent St. Clair. She came to the training and she told me about photo reading. So she tells me about how to read books within minutes. So I didn't believe her. So I went to Atlanta, then I went to Las Vegas to one of her trainings. And in that training, we had to learn how to read photo reading. So of course I brought my Street Soldiers book because that's the book I wanted to share, because we were told we have to share books. So while at that training in Las Vegas, I shared the book with a coworker of Malcolm's. And he read the book, and at lunch he said, hey, I got a guy, that works with me at the county, he's gonna love this book. So I said, well, here's the book, he can have it. Here's my phone number, tell him to call me immediately. And sure enough, Malcolm called me, and after that, the next thing I know, Malcolm rode his motorcycle from Las Vegas to San Francisco to the training. And from there, he said, Montone came to the training, and then David and Carlos came to San Diego. And I love these guys. I mean, the stuff they're doing in Vegas is just awesome.
I hear all the time how you get the word of mouth. Word of mouth lets people know what we're doing. I mean, I actually like it that way. I don't want to do a commercial. I don't know. I might get there. Anyway, I know all about COINTELPRO, so I ain't doing no commercials. Okay, that's what people that go that deep with it, But you just, and I remember when you came, it was like, I always feel that, anybody wants to stop the violence anywhere, this information will just put it in your blender, add it to what you do. And I think this, it will help. And it's wonderful to see everything that's going on there. And you have a picture of that award, pull that award up because we're going to show it when you can. You have to get it right now, but now let's talk about the work. There it is. There's a THUGLIFE, there's the award. You got Metropolitan Police. Obviously, a lot of good stuff is going on. So let's just talk about the work and how it's proceeding. We saw a clip where you with guys in lockup. So David and Carlos and anybody jump in. Let's talk about the work. Go right ahead.
Well, I guess I'll start. And Carlos, we want to make sure the officers understand and get a chance. Yes. So what we did is once we started, Doc, we went full go. We were able to go into the juvenile prison that we have here as well and started off in there as well. So we were reaching twice a year, 15 to 20 kids. And we were able to perfect that after Mo. And once Carlos and I went that October 19th of 2019, right before the pandemic, we had met the brothers from Metro. I got a call from Dante and he'll be able to explain it. But what we did is we had our own curriculum. And once I learned and Carlos and I learned about violence as an illness, it opened up the world for me because I understood, because I grew up in that mess with the domestic violence, the substance abuse, welfare child, and it helped me understand a little more about trying to deal with these youth. So we went at them full go. The man in the mirror, dealing with the enemy on the enemy. We just start going 100%, trying to help the kids understand they understood what a pandemic is because they're experiencing it right now. So we was able to flip them to help them understand, look at violence in your life, look at violence in your culture and how such a pandemic and how it's infecting your culture of young people, this cancel culture. And they bought into it 100%, as well as the officers. We kind of no nonsense kind of guys, but we did it with a lot of love and care, but with sincerity, but also with passion and strength, and we went at them with just sharing the information, doing practices. My wife is a therapist as well, so she's there just in case we have a meltdown. She's Our Lady Estelle. She's there. They call her mother and whatnot.
You need one of those, believe me, you need one of those.
Hey, I paid attention, Doc. I do pay attention. I talk a lot, but I do pay attention. I was a pretty good student. And so we were able to incorporate that as well. And the Metro Brass, upper brass were able to allow us to just do our thing. Once they saw what we did, they bought in. We have the books. I carry it everywhere with us. We use our information. We do it with passion and strength, and the kids are bought in. And what we're looking at, we started looking at early intervention with these kids. Intervention, prevention, and suppression, it was the key. Instead of getting these kids straight out of lockup, the officer were able to go into the schools and get the kids that are having issues with violence, fighting, drugs, or whatever the case, where they have already been identified, and the next step was to go to detention. And we were trying to avoid them going to detention, and let's catch them at the early stage to do that restorative justice piece, because that's big in the country right now, restorative justice. So we
Right.
did the intervention, prevention, and suppression. And we just had the greatest, we've only done 3 classes, but we just had a big graduation, and we took a girl in our class for the first time, which was awesome as well. And it worked out really well. I told you, I've been trying to pattern this thing after the Omega Boys Club in that room. I read that book, you and Jack, so I understood, and we had to start taking ladies. I always speak about sending these kids to college. You know, Dr. Marshall sent 300 kids to college this program. I'm trying to send these babies to school. I'm trying to send these babies opportunity to work. We have one kid who's the mentor to Johnathan. He's 28 now, and he went to prison at 16. He's at Georgetown Law School right now. He graduated summa cum laude from UNLV. Too bad we didn't get to have him here, but we want. His name is Anthony Brinkley. He was one of our big time mentors. And I said, you're setting the standard. We got a young Hispanic boy that went to prison, almost went to prison, and told a group of people that this kid wanted to be a real estate agent. He said, if I can sell dope, I can sell cars, I can sell shoes, I can sell houses. They put him through a program. He graduated real estate school. He sold his first house about 3 or 4 months ago.
Oh, wow.
So he's done well. So pattern this program after you guys. I watch and I pay attention to everything you've done, Doc. Don't get it to us. I love football, but I love great men in the community that's out there trying to save lives. Sometimes I say, do I have the capacity to be able to put myself on the front line? Am I willing to go out there and do those things? But God sent me some men that thought like me, think like me, and have the same passion. And that's how this thing and the work we've done, and our young brothers like Johnathan. Johnathan didn't tell you he's been shot, and he never
I'm gonna
stopped
get to
coming to
Johnathan.
class.
Let Johnathan tell you.
Okay, so yeah, we want you to get there, but the
Let
work is
Johnathan
just
tell his
love these
story.
kids.
So, yeah.
So just
But it's a
love
calling.
these
I
kids.
understand that completely. Carlos, is there anything he left out?
Well, Dr. Marshall, like Mr. Hollis said, with the program, what I've learned, and that's why I indicate that is one of the, if not the best conference I went to, is I can relate to it. It's one of the most programs or conferences you go to, you learn information. A lot. It's not often that you learn about yourself. And that was one of the things that was good about me. I learned when I was infected. You know, when I was a young adult and my dad was having me bag weed up, and I didn't know what I was doing. But at that time, that's when I got affected. So when we convey this information to the kids in the prison system, it's easier for them to relate because we can demonstrate that, and then they're able to learn from us based on the information we give to them. And it's very simplistic, and they're able to catch on to the concepts that we have with this particular program. So that's what I like about the program. It's simplistic and it's for everybody, not only the kids, but the adults, and everybody can learn from it. And it was very good for us to start that in the youth prison. And we started a little bit with the officers. So we just kind of fine tuning things right now. And it's just a good roadmap for us to continue to do in the future.
How often do you go, or is the work inside still going on? Is that cyclical? Does it come out? Carlos, does it, you there every week, or how does that work?
Well, when we have the program, it's a 12-week program with the Las Vegas Police Department and at the Summerlin Command. So that's a 12-week program. And also with the Summit View, it's a 12-week program. So each program is weekly for 12 weeks. So the program with Summerlin Command is on Tuesdays, and the Summit View Institution is on Thursday. I'm sorry.
How do you get the officers involved? Because that's probably the last, folks.
you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you.
I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna say when I say that, that's to them. How did you guys get involved? And I got a little story about me and the police in this work. But Officers Hunt and Officers Batiste, how did you get involved in with them and doing the work?
Well, actually, a lot of it started right before the pandemic hit. I'd happened to get an opportunity to join a juvenile enforcement team back in March of 2020, right before everything went on shutdown. And, the idea behind that was to go out whenever police had contact in the Summerlin area limits. Whenever we had contact with juveniles, I would go make contact with the juvenile, speak with the family, go in-home, do an in-home assessment, kind of get down to the root issue as to what was troubling the kid. Why is he committing crimes, whatever the case may be. So I was doing that from, I want to say, March all the way until August. And ironically enough, I was going inside these homes, talking to these parents, talking to these kids, and there was a lot of the same things that I would normally see growing up in Inglewood. Speaking with my captain at the time, her name is Sasha Larkin. She's now deputy chief for our department. Speaking with her, she had a much bigger plan. She was like, hey, you know what? We need to do more for these kids. We need to connect with a lot of, inner city. We need to connect with these inner city parents, but we need to offer them resources that can help them. So she ended up taking me to a luncheon where I spoke with John Ponder of Hope for Prisoners, so I can get kind of familiar with this program and things of that sort. And me not being from Las Vegas, I relied upon a lot of the advice that I got from a lot of the vets in the department. So, I was asking them, hey, who has inroads here? Who can connect to the kids here in Vegas? And, I spoke to at least 15 to 20 people, and they all came back and said, hey, you need to get in contact with Hot Dog. Hot Dog is out here. He's he's doing his thing. All the kids respect him. He can relate to them. He's giving it to them real, raw, uncut. And, thinking back to my younger childhood days, that's what I would have wanted. And that's what I got from, my officer mentors when I was growing up. So I was like, you know what? Let me reach out to him. So I just called him one day. I'm happy that he accepted my call, and I told him what I was trying to do. And, it's just from there, it's been a match made in heaven. I actually met Officer Hunt later on that year in December of 2020, after the program had started. We started the program in October of 2020. And, Officer Hunt, obviously he had been on the department for a lot longer than I had, but him being from Las Vegas, he had already been doing plenty of things. And I'll let him tell you, in the community, making a positive impact himself. So it was crazy how, meeting Hot Dog, and then they even knew each other, themselves. So it was crazy how everything just came together. Yeah. Like I said, all glory to God on that one. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. The rest was history after that. Yep. So yeah, and again, I was just trying to get in a section where I can be effective and use my talents and my gifts. And Dante actually kind of catapulted that situation as well of getting me in that section. So that worked out beautiful. And again, just brothers looking out for brothers, man, and it all worked out. You know what I mean? And that's what it's about. But I've been a mentor for our youth group of our organization, the fraternity, for about a good 14 years. I'm also the vice president of the Black Police Association here in Las Vegas. So we do a lot in the community and working with the youth as well. But again, I'm just trying to change mindsets. And I think that's the issue at hand too. I'm a huge advocate. I'm probably responsible for getting about at least 20, 25 brothers on the department, because we have to level the playing field. If we want to see things, we got to have a seat at the table. And I tell brothers all the time, this F the police attitude, we grew up with that mentality, but it's not going to get us nowhere. It hasn't got us anywhere. So we have to get in and understand our people. And it's a big difference from our counterparts from Montana coming in contact with us. And we talk like this. This is just our culture. This is what we do. And they're like a little hesitant when we pull up and we talk to people and our people and they talking with their hands. We talking like that too, because that's just what we do. So, and again, it's just to even a playing field and have people to look and reflect us is a big difference. You know what I mean? And that's why
I got to ask you this question, because again, being on the board of directors of the police department, because that's what I would do, and have a conversation. And I talk to a lot of, and by the way, we have an officer here like you. He's a great guy. His name is Officer Jason Johnson. He actually takes young people to Ghana every year.
Wow.
I'll introduce you to him because he's just, and that he carved that job out somehow with teeth. At the same time, he's often looked up on by his fellow officers as like,
oh yeah,
you ain't a real police officer, right?
Absolutely.
You know, and they have, I mean, he's told me that they've said to him, he'll go into the station. I said, "Oh, you doing that social work today? You're not doing policing." Do you guys catch any of that?
Absolutely.
Madness about not being
but
real
I think,
cops?
but I think it goes into knowing who you are and what you stand for. You know what I mean? Of course, that's the mentality of a lot of, and it's sad, a lot of our young brothers on the department, they want to go along to get along, so they want to do what everybody else doing, thinking, okay, you know, all we need to do is go catch bad people. Again, we're supposed to serve and protect.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And we're partners with the communities. You know, and I tell people that, aren't we partners with the community? You know, I didn't sign up this, you know, to go out and just bust heads. I signed up to make a difference. You know what I mean? So I know what I stand. I know I'm you know, I'm touching the people and pouring into the youth in my community. What are you doing? So again, that never phases me, because once you know who you are, you know, people understand and they respect that. You know what I mean?
Well, we call that, and I'm sure you will get that, fearship.
Fearship. Yes.
Oh, we hear it all. Hug a thug, you know, all of the nonsense. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, when I was a PO, Adrian and Dr. Marshall and Dante, you know, I would come in, and when the dreads start growing longer, you know, it was like, who was this dude? You a thug? Because I'm the only certified gang expert in the juvenile section, certified from, you know, from the adults downtown, the DAs. And I walk in court, you know, suited and booted. They see dreads, they think I'm somebody's dope dealer until they see the badge hanging around the neck. But that's changing the culture of what we're supposed to look like. I told my people, it doesn't matter. It's how you carry yourself, how you walk in this community, how you carry yourself out there, what kind of productive citizen you're going to be. And I wanted to change the culture for our young Black kids, that you can be an officer no matter what you look like, you know, and that's changing our culture. And for the other kind to look at us and say, dude, look at this guy with these dreads. But it's about making the difference. It's not about how I look. It's about what I stand for.
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay, now you got to tell your story. Yeah, you got to tell your story. And as you do that, you know, he's right. All of us grew up with this. I don't be no cop. I can't. I mean, I'm walking the streets of LA. I'm 12 years old. Cops shine a light in my eyes. You know, messing with me. You know, and so I don't think there's a Black male. It happens to Black women too, who has not experienced that. Why you messing with me, man? I ain't done nothing. You know, that reaction. But your story and particularly, well, go ahead, just start talking, tell us your story and how you have come you know, to where you are today.
I think he's gonna come right back. He just popped off really quick.
Lord, I set him up and he disappeared. Got to go back. Okay, you got to have.
Can I say something real quick, Doc?
Yes, absolutely.
I just want to say, I hear you saying about LA. I just want you guys to know that I worked for LA Unified for almost 10 or 12 years. I started working in Compton on Willowbrook and Rosecrans. I lived on 30th down the street. Oh yeah, I lived on Century and Avalon. So I know LA well is also, just so you know.
He was gonna give me the perspective. I'm hitting him right now and asking him where he's at.
Well, I also just wanted to share quickly in the chat room on Facebook, someone is very proud of their son, and that's you, Dante.
Hey.
That's it.
So it's beautiful. It's beautiful to have this support. Well, and a lot of people are agreeing with what you're saying, with what everyone's saying and sharing. So thank you for that.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
I got a couple quick things. Maybe I can get Johnathan. Hopefully he comes back because I want to hear his story.
I'm calling him now.
And I heard you talk about social media, and you know we've been doing this a long time. And I got a call from, and Stefan, you've been here, and I think I said it's from Baltimore. You know, Baltimore, and somebody that we had done some work with before. And they were actually doing Alive and Free in the public schools. We call it, you know, street soldiers then, not Alive and Free now. And it was very successful. But, you know, schools have turnover and, you know, that kind of thing, and people leave. And she was saying that she don't know if it's the pandemic or what. And she said, but this is a strain of kids she ain't seen before. I said, a strain? She said, a strain of kids.
Yeah.
No, it's like the pandemic has exacerbated whatever else that was going on with these young people before. And she says, man, we need you to come back and, train folks and get back into the schools. But you mentioned that social media thing, and it is, I think people, don't really, unless you're really working with kids, have a grasp on how that has exacerbated anything else that was going on with them before. I mean, it's one thing to run your mouth. It's another thing to post your mouth, and post the video, and it's just incredible, the insanity. I mean, you figure somebody who's a real criminal would even put this stuff out like that, but they're doing it all the time. To me, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to kids. I know there's good stuff. I know there's good stuff, but to a mind, an infected mind, it's the worst thing that could possibly happen. Is that what you're seeing? That? Go ahead. You can speak to that. Please do so. And if you've seen that also, and your effect
all for likes and attention, absolutely. And what a sad thing that kills me is, it seems like what's fake is real now, and what's real, people don't even care no more. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, we can even go. We can say with the young ladies. You can see young ladies posting half naked pictures, and then they got their kids on the next picture. I'm all confused. But I think with our youth, the issue with it now is the parenting. They're not doing their jobs to control it as well. A lot of kids, I usually visit kids at high schools, and we speak to them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And majority of these kids, they're tired in class. You know what I mean? They can't focus, and you know why? Because they're up on their phones all night to 1, 2, 3 in the morning. Then they go to school and they're sleepy, and and they can't focus. So and I'm like, so y'all parents don't take y'all phones, or y'all parents don't say put the phone down? And I'm like, no, So they're up talking to their friends, they're up on YouTube, they're up on just, doing whatever, watching whatever, and who knows what. But there's no parenting in there who's really taking the, time to say, you know what, 9:30, I know my son, I got a 14-year-old, 9:30, he already knows. Yeah, it's time to wind that thing down. And if I feel it's an issue, go ahead and leave the phone, in the loft, on the charger. You know what I mean? So, but again, some of these kids don't have no restraints, so they just do what they want. And that's affecting, the youth, of our day and age.
Well, we'll come back to that, but we actually have a class specifically on, so Johnathan, come back.
He's trying to,
He turned his camera off. I'll make sure you ain't going there, because I'm coming to you on social media. And the theme is, because it ain't going nowhere, right? It ain't like,
because he's waiting on you right now.
I've got young people to be conscious about the music they listen to, just thinking about, when you get them think about it. But social media is even more powerful than that. And the theme is, does it control you, or do you control it? I mean,
exactly.
Be in control, but they have no idea what they're up against when it comes to social media and the power, because of what it does to the brain. Okay, we'll come back to that. And you're absolutely right. I'm gonna get Johnathan before he.
And before Johnathan comes on, I just need to say that I am just really enjoying all of your feedback, all of your comments, but I really like that little interaction between hot dog and his student. I heard you. It's like the real teacher. We are waiting on you. Where you at, man? Come on back.
Right.
Well, Dr. Lady Estelle.
I just saw that. I said, I know that's right.
But I didn't say this earlier, but at that training that we took in October, I began to heal that day. I want you to know that you might remember, but I began to heal, Lady Estelle. First of all, I didn't like the way the officers were acting in San Diego, first of all, and they didn't know I was an officer because of these locks. But you were hitting on things, and like Carlos said, we were able to look within ourselves at that training, and that's what it provided me. And I was able to start healing for my son's murder. And I remember I was more angry at the officers but it brought every emotion out of me. Your comfort. And that's what we keep doing. We keep giving comfort. And I couldn't wait to tell my wife about it, because she reminds me, I said, you're going to be like Lady Estelle. That's what I told my wife. And we've been married 23 years, so, and together 27.
And she's
so
right next to you. You keep looking over there, talking to her. Come on in the picture so we can see you.
Look. There she go, Lady Estelle.
Hey there,
this
nice
is my
to
mission.
meet you.
That's my.
Nice to meet you.
But I always wanted to tell you thank you so much, Lady Estelle, that day, because I was angry. You pulled me away. I had to get away. You spoke to me in my ear, and you said, you call this thing for what it is. And I never got that. And it is what it is. You said, I said a gun or something about a gat. You was like, that's a gun. And that voice, I was like, ooh wee, that's good, because it hit me good when you said that. But I'll never forget that, because I began to heal from that tragedy in my life. And I've been fine ever since. I can honestly tell you, I just have been as happy and fine. I wanted to tell you that. I tell my wife all that. Lady Estelle spoken to me. So that was a blessing to me. So you understand that.
That's why she's Lady.
Thank you.
That's true. Trust me, I know. So I'm going to give you this, Lady Estelle. That's for me and mine.
Treasure around here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I hear that and feel that power and that love that you got for Johnathan when you said, look, we waiting on you. Don't make people have to wait for you. Go looking for you, find you. And he was like right there. Yes, sir. I'm gonna tell you what, Johnathan, when you can learn how to listen and hear the voice of your teacher, you're gonna learn how to live. And the teacher that God gave you right now is David. You keep listening and you're gonna learn when God speaks to you. That spirit comes up in you, you're going to recognize it. You won't fight it because you responded to him quickly. That's what you're supposed to do when the spirit talks to you. You respond quickly. That will save your life. Okay. So it's good to see you back. Listen to your teacher. That's what God gave you. All right.
We're ready to hear your story. Go ahead,
Johnathan.
I appreciate you guys for having me. I first got to knowing about David Hollis, the program he was doing it probably about 8 to 10 years ago. My friend, he went to the Caliente before me, so he ended up getting his PO and assigned him going to some classes. I guess you could David Hollis let people bring a friend in, so I must have came in with him one time. I must have sat down. We had a group, whatever. I took it in. It was cool, but I really didn't get nothing from it because I really didn't remember it that much. It wasn't until later on where I actually I went to Caliente and I got on juvenile parole. My PO assigned me to go to these classes, and I started going to classes. I started engaging in more of the activities and more to start meeting them more, start talking to them more. So I really, that's why I really met them and everything like that. But other than that, I mean, I'm really just. I'm sorry. Say that again.
What happened to you? What happened to you?
Okay, I kind of was basically I kind of was lost. You know, I'm a girl like everybody else. No father, single mom, Section 8, all the other stuff. So I kind of was just like a lost kid, doing stuff. Start gangbanging about like 11 years old. And so I ain't really start getting serious until I start getting older, like around 13, 14, where I got caught up for like robberies. I ended up going to Spring Mountain. Spring Mountain I took it as like kind of a joke. So I ended up getting in trouble again afterwards because I ended up going to Caliente. And they kind of got more strict, put me on parole instead of probation. And I got into some classes. I ended up getting in trouble again because I didn't take the program seriously. I kind of had this fake it till you make it mindset to where I'll do everything that my PO told me to do. You know what I'm saying? But I'll look the part, but I won't actually necessarily play the part. You know what I mean? And it kind of took a toll because midway through the program, we had like an assignment called, it was like a boys and man assignment. He told me to write about what am I doing, everything I'm doing this for, like what am I changing my life for. I must have made like some heartwarming, I guess assignment, sent it to class and everything like that. And like the following week, I ended up getting shot. I got shot 2 times in my stomach and my chest. I was 15 years old. Yeah, I was 15, like a month before I turned 16. I couldn't blame nobody else but karma, because of all the bad things I was doing just ended up catching up to me. So I couldn't be mad at nobody else. Just a lesson learned. I had to get over it. So I met Anthony in the program at my first time going to the program at first. And then I ended up getting in trouble again after I got shot, because people will think that you getting a shot at a young age is trying to make you like change your life, you know, make you settle down, make you think like clearly. But it kind of made me more angry, made me more. I kind of was more mad about the fact I felt like someone took something from me that I didn't know that what I had type stuff. So I guess I got worse. So I got in trouble again, and I ended up going to Summer View, and they had a program there, but they started a program I guess after. But I graduated the program when I got out of Summer View. They had me go to classes again. I graduated the program. After that, Anthony Brinkley helped me. He helped me get into college. I'm kind of bad on electronics and stuff now. You see, I was kind of skipping out, but he helped me get into college and stuff. And ever since then, like I'm still learning myself right now, so I can still go to classes. You know what I'm saying? So I still just take with them. So I feel like kids respect it more, or they kind of relate to me more that when they see me in the background of classes, when they see me, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I always go to the classes and try to present myself, try to give them my story. Or, you know what I'm saying?
Johnathan, how old are you now?
I'm 21.
Boy, man. When did it, there's a couple of questions I want to ask. I'm going to ask the second one first. When did the lights start to go on? I mean, when you're in that mindset, we all know how that mindset is. When you're in I call it the disease, when you're infected, when you think in a certain way, when the mentality has you, it's hard to chip away at that, to change that. When did you have an idea when the light started to go on that for you that like, I need to do something different? I mean, I really did. Not the talking cure, because you're right. I know the talking cure, right? The fit in the class cure, and go out there. But when did do you know?
Well, yeah, I guess it was. I was actually in my last program, some of you, and it's when Anthony Brinkley had started working there. He ended up being my caseworker in there, and it was a time where he gave me the book called Allegory of the Cave. It's Plato's book 7 of Plato's Republic, and he had me sit down and read it about like 4, 5, 6 times, and try to get like a concept of like what I got out of it. And I told him the first time what I got out of it, he kind of didn't think it was good enough, so he told me to go back and read it again. The same thing happened. I read it again. I kind of got some enlightenment forte about it. I took the enlightenment as well as me in the cave and that mindset, that negative mindset I was in, and the enlightenment is me going outside and just seeing everything new and giving back, and what I'm saying, and everything like that. So
yeah. Good for you. For you. Because that other, those other, we call them the commandments of balance, that whole thing has got to be replaced by something else. And something else has to get in there. Because when you're in that mindset, it's hard to break.
Yeah. I kind of thought it was like, I used to tell myself all the time, I don't know how I'm gonna stay out of jail for this long, how I'm gonna do this, or how I'm gonna not rob somebody. But it's really just a mind over matter thing. I just had to get that mindset of just play like, it's kind of like anywhere, like a bad fruit. I was hanging around the wrong people, hanging around the wrong environment.
Yes.
I kept getting spoiled by other people who were trying to tell me what to do, or not necessarily tell me what to do, but I guess I was looking for the wrong guidance and the wrong people, and it was spoiling off on me.
And I'm sure Lady Estelle and everybody else would agree with just looking at you. But you ain't no killer, and you ain't no good. I can see why you wouldn't be good at it, because you ain't really that ain't you. This is the real you.
Yes.
And so that was never gonna work. And it's funny, brothers get into things believing it might work, could work, and it ain't them in the first place. If I could go back and see your third grade picture, I always like to get them little second, third grade picture when you smile and then you become somebody else. This is the real you. And it's wonderful to see you being who you are, because that other person was a persona that you took on. I mean, I'm sure that, that, and it's just wonderful. You're just wonderful to see you actually being who God made you to be.
Yes.
And it's great. I can't say enough about that, man. I'm sure everybody feels that way. And I'm glad that you trusted them. You put yourself in their hands, because you would stay out there hanging with them. They wasn't going to put this in you.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Wow.
I'm going to say something that I have to say. And that is, and it may not make sense right now, but when you can receive it, please do. Where's Johnathan? Jonathan's that anger because you miss being a little boy. There's things the little boys just want to do. There are things they just want to, the way they want to act, stuff they want to have, the way they want to just be like a little boy. And you didn't get that. Some of that anger comes from, and I'm going to say it, Dr. Marshall, off because you didn't get to be a little boy. Now you got to be a man.
Yes.
And it's normal to be pissed off about not being able to be that little boy. You don't have to respond, but I see that on your face. It's back there. I can see that. That's right, isn't it?
You ain't lying, I'll tell you that.
Now, hot dog.
Yes, ma'am.
The minute you get a sense that he needs to be that little boy, let him.
Yes, ma'am.
Let him be that silly little boy, and you laugh because he missed that. He needs to let me just be a little boy, and he's not going to ask you because he's been forced to be a man. And being a man at 15 and getting shot, that ain't supposed to happen. He's 15. He's still a little boy. So you let him have those moments of being a little boy. You encourage him. Hey, if this is a little boy time, let's just go have some fun like that little boy that he just, it won't take long. It won't require much, but that'll help deal with that anger and that pain around missing how you get to be in the street at 11 and then shot at 15. No, he's mad as hell and he should be. Mm-hmm. But if he can get that with you, and you can get and let him have that, that's going to help with his healing. Now, I just needed to say that.
Appreciate you.
Wow. See, when she talks, nobody else can say anything. It's just like that. It's just silence. It's because it's so profound and so powerful. Mm-hmm. And all of you that played a role in bringing Johnathan from death to life. It's a blessing. It really is a blessing. Anything that we, that you learned that helped with this process or put into it, any of those concepts, any of that. I like, Carlos, what you said is that you got to be the healthiest person you can to help other people be healthy, mm-hmm. right?
Yes, sir.
You got to be as risk-free as you can, and you're not contributing to it. And so it all definitely begins with you. It's making you the best and healthiest person, free of the disease of violence as you can, so you can go guide somebody else. And it's just I can't say enough about it, man. It's wonderful. And the result is Johnathan, and it's, man, I don't know what to say. And Stefan knows when you have something like this that you can, give to somebody that'll help. It's just unbelievable. Just thank all of you, and to my officers. Really, I really want to thank you because this is like, and you got. Let me tell you, I'm gonna tell you something about. I've done trainings. The trainings that they attend. In fact, at some point, I'd be love for you guys because I've done officers. The worst training I've ever done, and I'll never do it again because I did it twice, was exclusively with officers, exclusively. And it was actually this was the Oakland Police Department. And they asked me to do it. And the chief was a very progressive guy. So he asked me to come and, let's do this, and they were horrible. They were horrible, not because, first thing I learned was they don't like outside trainers. They think we don't understand what they did. What we going through.
Correct.
You don't understand what we're going through, okay. Yep. So I didn't know that. If you're a police trainer, if you're inside, it's fine. You're an outside, they don't like you. But I remember
A-type personality.
Yep.
I remember days, and in those days it was a 4-day, it was not a 3-day. I remember the 3rd day, I got there and they were, I don't know, it was a sergeant, I don't know who it was, and they were off to the side and they didn't know I was standing there. And he said, "Don't you let him get us. Don't you let him get us. Don't even if he's right, don't you let him get us. It's us against them." And they would say that to me. But now here's the funny thing. This is the funny thing, John. You got to hear this. They would write me notes to take home, and I opened the notes and said, it was like, "This is the greatest training in the world. This is wonderful. This is so good. All the officers to hear that. Yeah, you need to hear that." Or they come to me, or they come up to me at lunch when nobody was around and say, "This is great. This is so bad. I mean, you teaching so concept. Everybody needs." They just couldn't say it in front of each other.
Yep.
It was
That's all it is.
It was incredible.
It's a big facade.
And y'all gonna police people?
Yeah, that's what it is.
It was incredible. So I made up my mind I would never do officers only. And when I do it, it's always mixed. It's with, what you would call civilians and other folks. And because it frees them up to be themselves, because that fearship, which we call it, they just think. And one dude, I remember one dude, he said something, and he agreed with me in front of the group. And man, they jumped on him. And I don't know why. He said, "Yeah, but he's right."
And that's the problem. A lot of them.
He got smacked for saying something that he knew. He couldn't even speak for himself. He had to go. And that taught me a lot about that, about why we have so many problems with officers. Because even if they don't, that code, is that's why the police always say to me, I mean, the homies always say to me, police are like just like a gang, right? They down for their homie right or wrong, and they ain't telling on each other, right? So I admire any officer, especially who will stand up to
absolutely.
Them. And so because it's just like saying to the shot caller, "Man, hey, I ain't doing that. No, I ain't doing that, man." And that disease, that fearship is everywhere. It's in the federal government. It's everywhere that you cannot allow to think for yourself, even when you know it's right, it's wrong.
But you're right, and that's the tough thing. That's a tough thing because being in a department, that's what I don't think a lot of our people from our culture don't understand and see the things that we deal with. We fight sometimes with our own people, and we fight inside. It's difficult when you go to 90% of your police stations and they watching Fox News. 90% of them, BLM, oh, what's that? You know what I mean? 95% of them don't know how to humanize the badge because, the funniest thing that I love to do, I like to sit before briefing and watch the officers come in, and they just, they walk in, they bop in, but they put on that little badge and that gun, they get the,
swell up,
little chest out, like, knock it off. You'll get slapped out here without none of that stuff. It, man.
But one thing I can say, Dr. Marshall, what we've done is kind of changed the gamut here in Vegas with these brothers here, because they came up with the dream, and the acronym is Discover, Redirect, Empower, Advocate, and Mentor. Along with the Thug Life and what we was able to do with these brothers and what we do, and the combination of both is they're trying to put Thug Life and the Dream program together in all the different substations in Las Vegas. Now they have different ones, and we just like this at the graduation. They're taking this program from here to what they call the Spring Valley, and then start moving around the city. And, like my guy said, well, are you guys gonna be able to train them? They say, nah, man, they got to figure some of this out. Now, of course, we're willing, but I'm like, won't you guys send Dr. Marshall down there and have him come down there and train those brothers, and we can be a part of what they, what that is and what it's about, you know what I mean, and bring them in, and then so they can create their own program. You just happen to have some brothers that's from the street that got badges, and I just happen to be one as well. And I'm older, Dr. Marshall. I'm not your age yet, sir, but I'm older than these brothers. I mean, I'm 57 years old, you know, and let's go do what we do to save our children, because this life, what's going on in America, outside America, our babies are losing. And I'm just sick and tired of seeing our babies die, you know, and we want to keep them alive and free 100%. One thing we do offer that the officers allow, and we all allow, we link up and we link arms and we pray. We tell them everybody pray, even gangsters in prison, they pray. So we do a prayer and we teach the young brothers about prayer, because we know that's one of the most important things that we have out there. And we're not sugarcoating this thing and making it religious, but I said, we're gonna pray for you guys coming and going. And that's one thing we totally believe in as well. You know, and it's funny how the kids just bought into that as well. They look forward to it.
This is, I just want to commend all you. Stefan, don't this sound wonderful? I mean, as us, you know, and anybody we can get in this too and showcase it, because we got to keep our young folks alive and free. I mean, and we got to take it on the road and take it on the road and take it on the road, and you know, somebody's going to get it. Somebody's going to say we can do this. And Stefan, this got to make you feel good, right? Because you go with me everywhere.
This is great. This is wonderful. I mean, this is just wonderful. And just want to say that I talked to Sergeant Barnes from San Diego SDPD. I love to connect him with some of the officers from Las Vegas, because he called me the other day. He's eager to really get something going with the department here in San Diego. Okay. And, hopefully I'll be in Vegas soon. Come see you guys.
I'll see you.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. Definitely.
You're more than welcome.
Just keep it up. Keep it up. This is great. We'll keep our eyes on it. You know, this will be what Ann will have the program up in a couple of days, and so I'll send you the link. The whole program will be gone. Johnathan, you can watch yourself every day if you want. But you know, just this is Black history. This is wonderful Black history, and you know, we're talking to the kids about all the heroes and sheroes and you know that have helped to try and pull us out of this hole that we've been in since we got kidnapped and brought over here, and you know, they're used to the Dr. Kings and the Malcolms and so on, but I always tell them, you know, they didn't know they were going to be Dr. King and Malcolm. They were just doing what they believe needs to be done. And so history made that, right? But you're doing that. You're doing that, man. You know, anytime you save a life, what's our number one rule for living? There's nothing more valuable than an individual's life. And you're either part of the problem or part of the solution. And Johnathan, it's so good to see you part of the solution. And your life is going to be great, man. You're a computer guy? Is that why? Is that what they would see? Is that what you do right now?
For me, no. I just got a PC set up for my game.
He's still a kid. Lady Estelle said, "Let him be a kid."
Miss Estelle, I don't know what that means. You know what that means, Miss Estelle?
Let him. That's important. You got to have those, because when it's time for him to be a man and he's got men around him, he's been watching you all, he'll know what to do. Okay, but to be a kid with men who will guide him and support him, see, this is what I was going to say in the end, and love him and lift him up, he'll know how to be a man. This is my closing remarks, because I know you're coming to me, but since I'm talking, I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. Johnathan, you know, that's the beauty of being lady with silver. I'll take my privilege. Johnathan, when make sure you're around men who will love you and lift you up, let you laugh, encourage you, and check you clearly. Will check you, say, no, man. And if they got to say, hell no, don't let me have to come after you, then you know what? Make sure they don't have to come after you, because you got some brothers that will.
Yes.
I was on my way out of Target the other day, and this young man, African-American, he was trying to get signatures. I said, I'm not signing anything today, sir. And he said, he kept talking. And I said, no, I'm really not signing. Thank you. I understand. I'm not signing. I'll tell you what, I'm 5'3". I'm little. I would tell you what, he's a big guy. He walked up on me. Yes, he did. He said, listen, lady, I'm just trying to get some signatures so I'm just trying to stay out of trouble. Do you know he walked up on the wrong one? I said, you need to stay out of trouble because that's the right thing to do. I said, now what you getting for these signatures? I get $5 there for every signature. I said, look, what you need to do is get yourself together, do the right thing, because that's the right thing. That's staying out of trouble. With fact, no, I opened up my little thing. I gave him 20. I said, now you need to be glad you ran into an old lady who knows who Jesus is. Now you get yourself right and you do the right thing because that's the right thing to do. Because he looked at me like, I ran into a crazy lady. Yes, you did. That's what you need, Johnathan. Somebody's going to check you, tell you, love you, lift you up, and not let you forget who you're supposed to be. Brothers in the house, the policemen, my prayer is that you stay protected, guided, and directed in this work that you've been given to do. To protect. And Officer Hunt, you said 3 words. I didn't write them down, but you said protected. What were the other 2 words you remember? Because they just rolled off.
Protect, serve, and probably community partnership.
Serve, protect, and be a community partner. And my prayer is that you are protected while you're serving.
Thank you.
And protected and being a partner to the people in the community. Hot dog, keep doing the work. Carlos, continue to do the work. Stand beside him, walk with him, lift him up, and let him know. All these young men know that we love you. Like I believe when a man can love a young man, when a young boy knows he is loved by a man and it ain't nothing sexual about it, that man is not afraid to love.
That's right.
He ain't busy being a man because he understands what it feels, what love is, because a man has shown him how to do it. Anyway, it's been wonderful being with you and sharing and hearing you. My prayers are with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Jonathan, we have a saying, we're not all related, but we're all family. So you just got some new family members. And I used to be like, when I started the club, I was everybody's father. I guess now I'm everybody's grandfather. When I heard you was 21, I guess, even though I look like a father, I'm really. So you got another dude on you, man. You need something? Let us know. You know, when you do right, good things happen. Good things will happen if you're willing to do right. When I find dude, man, something always happen to me. It's because you ain't willing to do right. When you are willing to do right, people are willing to help you. All you got to do is right.
That's right.
God and the people love you will take care of the rest. So you just start figuring out what you want to do with your life, and you know, and it will come true. It's going to come true because you're being true. And everybody's a witness to this. All the people watching, all people who's gonna see this. I just thank you, man. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the letting. Thank you for being the truth. Man, is your mother still alive, Jonathan?
Yeah, she is.
Oh, Jonathan.
She must really be happy that she ain't got to go down to juvenile hall and see your butt no more.
Not no more, yeah. Not no more, yeah. That's good, man.
That's right.
See, that's a mom. That mom, man, they be going through it. So thank you for doing that, yourself and for her. All of you, live and free in Las Vegas. This is great, man. We're gonna posse up. We're gonna get together. Hey, look, let's work out for get me down there to do a training with officers, with community people, a whole bit. I'll let you know where we gonna be. They're trying to get me to go back to Bob, wherever it is. We're gonna make it happen because we want everybody to stay alive and free.
That's right.
All right. Thank you so much for tonight. Happy Black History Month. Keep reading.
Black History. Thank you all.
Black History Month.
No question.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. It's an honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Good night.
All right, Dr. Marshall.
Good night. I'll see y'all later, brothers.